What's going on, everybody? Today I will be ranking the top 10 best 2024 non-conference games. This is my opinion on which games will have the most impact on the next college football season. And I won't rank any teams twice on this list. So a team like Notre Dame, who has a bunch of tough non-conference games, will not be on this list twice. But I did pick one game with Notre Dame in it. But before I get into this video, let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you will love this channel, because we upload daily college football content, and we basically cover everything on this channel, so definitely consider subscribing. But anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. Now let's start off at the bottom, and at number 10, I have Nebraska versus Colorado. And people may look at this game and say that these programs are average and don't belong on this list, but there wasn't that many great games to pick from, but I ended up picking Nebraska versus Colorado, because this is a game that will be a lot of fun, and this game should have a lot of hype around it. Nebraska is a team that really had quarterback issues last season, and they did end up losing to Colorado by like 20 points. But next season may be a different story, because Nebraska will probably have a new quarterback starting, who is 5-star freshman quarterback Dylan Raiola. Nebraska should be a lot better next year. Their defense was really good the previous season, and their defense should be really good again. But they've also done a really good job of picking up pieces to help out the offense. And Colorado will also have some new players, and they will have Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter returning, and there will be a lot of hype around both these teams. And they can end up both being overhyped, but I feel like this will kind of set the flow for these two teams, and it will kind of tell us how good these teams are, because Nebraska versus Colorado should be a pretty even matchup, and it could honestly go either way. But at number 9, I have Oklahoma versus Tulane. This should be a really good Group of 5 versus Power 5 matchup, or should I say Power 4, because the Pac-12 doesn't exist anymore. But I think these two teams could honestly be very evenly matched. Tulane has done a really good job of building up their offense in the transfer portal, and a lot of people expect this team to make the 12-team playoffs. And Oklahoma is a team that will still be good, but they have a lot of questions, and they will have a completely new look offense. But similar to Nebraska versus Colorado, it should really set the tone of the season for these teams, and it should be a pretty even matchup. But at number 8, I have Oregon versus Boise State. This could end up being a lopsided game in Oregon's favor, but I felt like this game had to be added on the list because of all the hype this Boise State team is getting, and also the fact that Boise State is actually 3-0 against Oregon, and Oregon could definitely be on upset alert in this game. There's two things that can happen in this game. Oregon blows out Boise State like most people expect, or Boise State somewhat keeps this game close, and possibly even upsets Oregon on the road. And then in that case, I would look back on these rankings and say I did a really good job. This game needed to be added to the list because of the upset alert factor, and because of how big this game has been over the last 15 years. Boise State and Oregon kind of had a rivalry going for a while, and it would be pretty awesome to see these two programs play again. And it's a new look matchup that we haven't seen in a few years. I'm definitely excited to see how this game plays out, and a win for Boise State would possibly be the biggest upset of the season, and it's definitely not impossible. The next game I have on this list is NC State versus Tennessee in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be a neutral site game, but the reason I have this game on the list is because this could definitely be a top 25 matchup, and these are honestly two teams that might be being slept on. Tennessee will have a new quarterback, and their offense should see some improvement next season. And NC State, they were playing really good football near the end of the last season, and they have a lot of momentum heading into next season. NC State is also going to have a new quarterback, and NC State has done a really good job in the transfer portal. These are both teams that could honestly be dark horses to make the playoffs, and this should be a very interesting game. The next game I have on this list is Florida versus Miami. This could end up being the battle of the overrated teams, or it could end up being the battle of the underrated teams. And both these teams have a lot of similarities. I'd say they are both kind of on the last inning, and they have brought in a bunch of talent, but still have underperformed the last couple years. And these are two coaches that are probably in the hot seat. I think we could see many different outcomes in this game, and both these teams are really long overdue to have a good season. But they both underperform again and again. But the winner of this game could get momentum going forward, and I really do think this is one of the most important games of next season, and it's not really being talked about enough, and both these teams are trying to take that next step after failing time and time again. So like I said, this game could end up being the battle of the overrated teams, or it could end up being the battle of the underrated teams, and this game is definitely important in my eyes. But at number 5, I have Wisconsin versus Alabama, and I could have put this game higher, but I personally think the games I ranked above this one will be better. But this should be a very interesting game, and this game kind of has the same factor that Oregon versus Boise State has. It will be a new look matchup, and Alabama should definitely be on upset alert, and they will have a new head coach as well, and this game will definitely mean a lot. Luke Fickell is doing really good work at Wisconsin, and I feel like this team has a bright future. And a win to start the season against Alabama in their home stadium would make a huge statement. This game should be a battle up front, and this should show how good these teams actually are, and it will be the SEC versus Big Ten, and that's always fun. But at number 4, I have Notre Dame versus Florida State. And like I said earlier, I did put Notre Dame on this list. And I ended up going with this game because I think this is Notre Dame's biggest game of the season. And this is one of the biggest games of the college football season in general. And these are two programs that could honestly both make the 12-team playoffs. If Notre Dame was in the ACC, you could honestly consider this the number 1 ACC team versus the number 2 ACC team. And this is a high caliber matchup, and there's a slight possibility we see a rematch between these two teams in the playoffs, if the bracket does set up perfectly for them. It's not likely, but you never know. Both of these teams have brought in really solid quarterbacks who still have a lot more to prove, and this should definitely be a very close game, and they will both have very new look offenses with new receivers and new quarterbacks. Both these teams lost a lot on offense, but they both have done a very good job in the transfer portal and have really good defenses, and this should be a fantastic game. And it may just come down to home field advantage. And Notre Dame will have this game at home. So as a Notre Dame fan, you have to be happy that you have this game at home. But at number 3, I have USC versus LSU, and this game will be played in Las Vegas, Nevada, and the atmosphere for this game should be insane. These are two teams who have so much improving to do on defense, but these teams have elite coaching staffs, and I think they're working towards something bigger. USC has brought in elite defensive coaches that have had a lot of success in the past, and this USC coaching staff isn't being talked about enough. And that LSU coaching staff is really great, top to bottom. And Brian Kelly is a head coach that you can trust. And these are honestly two teams that may be forgotten about, but they could really shock a lot of people, and I mean that. And I think no matter how bad or how good USC and LSU are, this should end up being a fantastic game, and it could turn into a shootout. Both offenses will ball out in this game, but it's going to come down to which defense will step up. And that's going to be the big question of the game. And this is a highly anticipated game. And just imagine if we got this game in 2023, it would have ended up being like 70-63 or some crazy high score. But next year we do get this game, and I can't wait to see what happens. But at number 2, I have Georgia versus Clemson, which will be played in Atlanta, Georgia. So it may not be at the Bulldogs' home field, but it is in their home state, and the crowd environment should still be in favor of the Georgia Bulldogs. And oh boy, could this be a huge game for college football. Maybe Clemson has fallen off too much to compete with a team like Georgia, but imagine if Clemson somehow pulls off the upset in this game. It would make a huge statement, and it would be a huge step from where they were a season ago, losing to Duke 28-7 to start the season. I think Clemson really has potential to compete in this game, but in the end, Georgia will probably have too much talent and win by double digits. But all I'm saying is, what if Clemson beats Georgia? That would be insane, and everyone would be hyping this Clemson team up, and maybe people would lay back on the hate for Dabo Swinney. But don't forget, this Clemson team has won multiple national titles, and it's not out of the picture for them to be back on top. But it's been a few years, and this Clemson team has struggled to be one of those elite contenders. And Dabo Swinney gets questioned for not being able to adapt to the new college football landscape. But a win to start the completely new era of college football would set this Clemson team back on track. And it's definitely not out of the picture. It's probably not going to happen. But this should be a game with two heavy hitter teams. But in the end, Georgia will probably just have way too much talent for Clemson. But both of these defenses should be elite, and it could turn into a very good game. But at number 1, I think the only right choice is Michigan versus Texas. I hear tons of people saying Michigan will completely fall off and not be good again, but I completely disagree. Do I think they will be worse next season? I say absolutely, but I still see them being a very good team who could compete with absolutely anybody. They have so many All-Americans returning on defense, and they will have a completely new look offense with the new offensive coordinator. But let's not forget that Michigan will have a very good running back in Donovan Edwards returning, and also one of the best tight ends in the country, Colston Loveland, returning. And this offense could be a lot better than people expect. And this still might be a very good physical ground and pound team. And I think Texas should win this game, but I think it will definitely be a close game. And I'm not going to be shocked if Michigan wins the game against Texas. And you know, I'm not even going to be shocked if Michigan even wins the Big Ten. I know they lost their head coach, but I think Sharon Moore was a decent replacement. And they still have a bunch of talent on that team. And for Texas, all I got to say is that offense is looking very scary with the additions that they've made in the transfer portal. Definitely at wide receiver, but they also have a Heisman Trophy caliber quarterback in Quinn Ewers returning, and I do think this is the most important non-conference game of the 2024 college football season, and it's going to be the SEC versus Big Ten. And it is very weird that Texas will be an SEC team next season, but the new look games we will have next season are going to be awesome, and there's so many awesome conference games to look forward to as well, and I will be ranking the 10 best conference games sometime soon, so be sure to tune in for whenever that video gets released. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you will love this channel because we upload daily college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing. But anyways, that's going to do it, guys, and peace out.